Level 1. Night shift laundry attendant. You run 40 industrial machines in a basement with no windows. You get paid in cash that smells like bleach. And in 20 years, the 3 biggest dealerships in the state will call your phone when their own master techs give up. Right now, you are 19. You sleep 4 hours between shifts. The pay is $9 an hour, cash off the books, which means no raise and no ladder out. You wash the sheets and gowns for every hospital, days in, and nursing home in the county. So you have pulled things out of these machines that you have quietly decided never to describe to another human being. You share a room. Dinner most nights is whatever the vending machine drops when you hit it in the right spot, which is the one skill anybody here has ever thanked you for. Tonight, dryer number 12 is making a sound nobody else can hear, a tick under the roar once every rotation. If that drum bearing seizes on your shift, the repair comes out of your pay, and your pay is spent before you touch it. So you do the thing that decides the rest of your life without knowing it. You lift a long flathead screwdriver off the floor, press the tip to the machine's steel skin, and set your ear to the handle. The tick turns into a voice that tells you which bearing, which side, how long it has left. You shut down dryer 12 and tag it in pencil. Left drum bearing dry, maybe 2 days. The morning manager reads the tag, laughs, and runs the machine anyway, because a running machine makes money and a tagged one doesn't. Dryer 12 seizes at 2 in the afternoon, mid-load, and takes the motor with it. The bill is 4 times what the bearing would have cost. Nobody connects the tag to the bill, and nobody connects the bill to you. You keep the screwdriver. Not because it is special. Because it heard something you couldn't, and now you can't unhear it. You start pressing it to everything. A washer with a worn bearing thumps off balance on the spin, and you learn to catch it 3 loads before it walks itself across the floor and rips out its own hoses. You are 19, broke, and turning into an instrument nobody built on purpose. And somewhere across the city, a man named Marcus is asleep in a warm bed. Certified. Connected. Already promised the career you will spend 20 years clawing toward. He doesn't know your name yet. One day he will sit across from you, broke, and beg you to remember it. Level 2. Lube tech. A garage 2 blocks from the laundry hires you to drain oil and rotate tires. Entry rank. The job title on your paycheck says technician, but the word that matters is the one nobody says out loud. You are the guy who does what a real mechanic won't waste flag hours on. Oil, filters, wiper blades. The jobs that pay almost nothing and can't go wrong. You are handed a bay, a torque wrench you don't know how to use, and the supervisor's nephew, Marcus. Marcus has been a mechanic for 8 months, certified for 2, and his uncle owns the shop. His hands are cleaner than yours will be for a decade. The first week, he watches you press your screwdriver to a running engine, ear to the handle, and decides you are a joke he can tell for free. He knocks it out of your hand into the used oil drain, a barrel of black sludge, and tells the bay you learned mechanics at a laundromat. The bay laughs. You reach into the elbow, fight it by feel, wipe it on your pants, and go back to listening. You don't tell them the laundromat is where you learned the one thing here none of them can do. Here is what the screwdriver hears that the code reader can't. A car rolls in that smells weird and throws no codes. Marcus plugs in the scanner, gets nothing, tells the customer it's fine, and walks to a paying job. You stand in the bay and breathe. Sweet. Faintly sweet. Coolant. Ethylene glycol has a smell, and a leaking heater core pushes it through the vents into the cabin long before any warning light comes on. You trace the fog on the inside of the windshield to the passenger footwell and find the seep. The customer has been driving around like this for a month with the windows cracked, telling everyone the car smells kind of sweet, like pancakes. Because admitting it is coolant means admitting the whole dashboard has to come out to reach the part, and some people would rather just smell pancakes forever. The customer books a real repair, $400 of labor. Marcus signs the ticket because he's certified and you're the laundry kid, and the commission lands in his name. That is the trade at the bottom. The lube tech finds it, the certified man signs it, the customer thanks the certified man. Credit flows up. Oil flows down. You learn fast which one you are. You start cataloging smells the way you cataloged sounds. Rotten eggs means the catalytic converter is failing and dumping sulfur. Sharp and acrid means a clutch cooking itself. Your nose becomes a second scanner and it needs no software update. Marcus starts calling you laundry across the bay, loud enough for customers to hear. Quiet enough his uncle can pretend he didn't. You answer to it for a year, and every time you do, you file it somewhere it won't rot. The screwdriver goes home with you every night. A black tar line worn into the handle where the oil soaked in and never came out. But the question that keeps you in the bay after close is simple. How does a man with no certificate, no uncle, and no clean hands ever get to touch a real diagnosis? Level 3. General Service Technician. A better shop across town takes you on. You've done 2 years of oil and tires, and you can rotate a set of 4 faster than anyone they've got. That speed is why they hired you. It is not why they keep you. You get a real bay. Brakes, belts, batteries, alternators, the middle tier of the trade where the money starts but the danger is still low. And you get the jobs nobody wants, the ones the service writer calls dogs. A dog is a job that books 2 hours and takes 5. Rust. Seize bolts. A Chevy Silverado up from the salt belt, where they pour so much salt on the roads the trucks dissolve from the frame up. Every fastener has fused solid and shears off flush in your hand. You heat it cherry red, you hit it with PB Blaster because WD-40 is not a penetrant no matter what your uncle swears. You back out a broken stud with a left-hand extractor, and you tap fresh threads into metal that has decided today it would rather die than turn. Here is how a mechanic gets paid, and it explains everything that follows. You are not paid by the hour. You are paid by the book. A labor guide decides a job flag's 2 hours, and if you beat that, you get paid 2. If it takes you 6 because the bolt's sheared, you still get paid 2. The clock on the wall means nothing. The book only pays for speed, and if a job runs long for any reason at all, you personally eat the loss. Marcus, 3 miles away, is fed the gravy, clean late-model cars, quick flags, easy money. You are fed the dogs. On paper, he laps you every single week. But you stop fighting the dogs and start minding them. You learn to catch a ball joint about to let go by the way the tire hops over a bad patch of road, and a failing motor mount by the clunk that only lands when the transmission shifts under load. Marcus keeps getting paid faster on the clean cars. You keep getting harder to replace, one seized bolt at a time, and nobody notices the second thing is happening until it already has. You also learn to translate the service writer's handwriting, which is its own dead language. Customer states car makes noise might be a wheel bearing or a water bottle that has been rolling around under the seat since October. Customer states check engine light means the gas cap has been loose for a year. And customer states rodent smell means you are about to open the airbox and meet an entire family of mice who have been living in there rent-free, stacking dog food and dead leaves next to the air filter like they signed a lease. The dogs pay you in something better than flag hours. A customer complains of a shake at highway speed that the scanner won't touch. You take it out, hit 60, and feel it in your palms through the wheel, then in the seat under you. A misfire announces itself in your body a full beat before it earns a code. You pull the spark plugs and read them like a doctor reads a chart. Tan and dry is healthy. Black and sooty means it's running rich, drowning in fuel. White and blistered means it's running lean and cooking toward a hole burned clean through the piston. Cylinder 4 is black and wet. You found the misfire the scanner shrugged at by feel and by color before it ever set a light, and the fuel trims on the laptop back you up. The service writer starts routing the weird ones straight to you. The unsolvable shakes, the intermittent stalls, it only does it when the engine's cold cars nobody else can pin down. You meet the man with 280,000 miles who has never once changed his oil, whose engine has developed a little tick, and when you pull the drain plug, what pours out is not oil. It is a warm black pudding that stopped being oil somewhere back in the Obama years. Marcus hears about it and tells the other shop you got lucky with a spark plug. A spark plug did fix it, so he's not entirely wrong. What he calls luck was a read, and that difference is the whole rest of your life. You keep the screwdriver in the top tray now, handle up, oil line black as ever. Nobody asks about it. The one who eventually will is a kid who reminds you of yourself, and that's 4 levels away. Level 4. ASE Certified Technician. You sit the exams. Brakes, steering and suspension, electrical, engine performance, heating and air, 8 tests, and the man who passes every one earns 2 words that change how a shop treats him. Master Technician. Each test is a check in a morning in a strip mall testing center between a vape shop and a Little Caesars, where a proctor who has never held a wrench certifies, on paper, that you understand what a brake is. The certificate does one thing immediately. It lets you touch electrical, where real mechanics separate from parts changers. A car comes in dead every morning, flat by dawn, fine all day. 2 techs before you replace the battery. Twice. The battery isn't the problem. Something is drawing power while the car sleeps, a parasitic draw. And a healthy car asleep should pull under about 50 milliamps once its computers shut down 30 or 40 minutes after you lock it. So you clamp a meter in line, wait in the dark, and pull fuses one at a time until the number drops. Fuse 19, a glove box lamp with a broken switch that never shuts off, cooking the battery every night through a part that costs 60 cents. $400 of dead batteries before you, and the fix was a light bulb. This is the level where you meet the worst enemy in the trade, the one with no name and no code. The intermittent fault. The problem that refuses to happen while you're watching. A car that stalls once a week, always in the worst possible spot, the middle lane of the interstate or the Kroger parking lot with a trunk full of melting groceries, and then runs flawless in your bay for 3 days straight, while you stare at it like a dog that won't do its one trick at the party. You cannot fix what refuses to break in front of you, and the customer becomes convinced you are either incompetent or inventing the problem, sometimes both in the same phone call. So you leave a data logger plugged in and send the car home to fail on its own time. You learn to read a freeze frame, the snapshot the computer takes the instant something breaks, a security camera for a crime that already happened. Marcus certifies the same year. His uncle throws a party with a sheet cake. You hang yours crooked at 11 at night, alone. Same 8 tests, same 2 words on the paper. For Marcus, the certificate was a formality his family always assumed he'd collect. Yours cost 2 years of nights and forced a system that bet against you to admit what you already were. You never say that out loud. You just pass, all 8. The service manager who watched you find fuse 19 is already writing your name on a list you don't know exists. Level 5. Diagnostic technician. The shop makes you the man the others bring their failures to. When a tech is 4 hours into a car and drowning, he rolls it to your bay and walks away. You're no longer paid to change parts. You're paid to know which part on the first try, and being right is now the whole job. This is where the ear from the laundry starts earning real money. A customer has a hum at 40 miles an hour that 3 shops have chased for months. 2 of them replaced tires. One was a Firestone that, while it had the car up on the rack, also recommended struts, an alignment, a fuel system service, and a fresh cabin air filter, none of which has ever hummed in the history of the automobile. One replaced a hub and charged for it. The hum is still there. You drive it, and you don't just listen, you load it. You sway the car hard left, then hard right. The hum swells on the right turn and quiets on the left, which names the part. A left front wheel bearing, because a bearing sings when the weight shifts off it. A tire drones the same in every corner. A CV joint clicks, it doesn't hum. 3 shops guessed and swapped parts. You listen to how the noise changed and let physics point at the exact bearing. You give your instinct a name because a shop won't respect a hunch off a laundry kit. You call it loaded diagnosis. Stress the system, then listen for what changes. The move you invented, pressing a screwdriver to a dryer at 19, becomes a procedure the new hires get taught their first week, and none of them know where it came from. The harder ones you chase with tools most techs never buy. A phantom fuel smell 3 shops blamed on a loose gas cap turns out to be a cracked purge valve behind the intake, found by hooking a smoke machine to the system and watching where it leaks out. A rattle nobody can place. You clamp an electronic stethoscope on one part at a time until the noise jumps in your headphones and the guilty part confesses. The screwdriver at 19 taught you to isolate a sound by touch. The tools just let you do it on a car worth 80 grand without pressing your skull to a running engine. Marcus can't do this, and it's starting to cost him. He's fast on a job he's done 100 times and lost on one he's never seen, so he stops competing on skill and competes on politics instead. There's a top tech board in the customer lounge, and his uncle keeps his numbers up by handing him the clean, high-flag gravy. Your numbers get dragged down by every dog and every unsolvable ghost routed to your bay, the exact cars that build the reputation a board can't measure. In the offices you're not invited into, people start using a word about you they never use about a golden boy. Indispensable. It sounds like a promotion. It works like a cage, because a bay that stops running the second you step away is a bay they will never let you leave. You are about to make them regret needing you that badly. Level 6. Shop foreman. They give you the floor. 6 techs, 4 older than you, all aware you started draining oil, and before that ran a laundry. Authority is a thing you can be handed and still not own. You own it in the first week, or you never own it at all. First test. A senior tech ignores your call on a brake job and does it the way he's always done it. Skips the hardware you told him to replace. He has been a mechanic for 30 years, a fact he mentions roughly hourly. which mostly means he has been making the same mistake with total confidence for 3 decades. The car comes back in 3 days, pulling hard to one side under braking. A comeback, the worst word in the trade. Same car, same fault, back on the lift, fixed for free this time while your shop's name bleeds out in the lounge. You take it yourself, at night. It's a collapsed brake hose acting like a one-way valve, holding pressure on one caliper after you lift off the pedal, dragging the car sideways. You fix it and you don't write the tech up. Next morning, he sets his jobs up the way you told him to, without being told. Twice. And that quiet compliance is the only apology a shop floor knows how to give. Nobody mentions who was right, and you don't ask them to. Then Marcus escalates from mockery to sabotage. He's transferred into your shop on his uncle's string, and he wants the floor you're standing on. A car you signed off goes out the door with its drain plug barely finger tight. Oil paints the customer's driveway by morning. You catch it before the engine seizes, because you'd torqued that plug yourself and logged the spec, and the plug on the car doesn't match the number on your sheet. You don't accuse him to his face. You start photographing every torque spec on every car that passes through your bays, time-stamped and filed by the job number. The best defense against a man who edits the record is making sure the record already exists before he can reach it. Marcus watches the camera come out of your pocket. He stops loosening things. He starts hunting for a move you can't photograph. You also learn the thing no certificate teaches. You write a report proving the shop loses money on every free courtesy inspection, because a free inspection is a beautiful trap. You check the entire car for nothing, then walk to the lounge to gently inform a man drinking machine coffee that his brakes, his tires, and by the look on his face, his will to live are all sitting at about 15%. Customers don't hear that as a favor. It lands like an ambush, so half of them decline everything out of spite and drive off on brakes you can hear from inside the building. The analysis is airtight. The timing is a disaster. You hand it to the service manager the same week the owner's daughter wrecks the courtesy shuttle and the budget is a war zone. He hands it back and tells you to bring it after the quarter closes or be right and unemployed by Friday. Being right doesn't pay by itself. It pays only when you use it at the moment it lands hardest. And this isn't the moment. So you file it and wait. 2 months later, the quarter closes, you bring it back, and it's approved without a single objection. Level 7. Master Technician and Specialist. You specialize. The shop moves into European and diesel, the cars that pay triple because they punish anyone who guesses. A BMW runs like a dream for exactly as long as the factory warranty lasts, then starts failing in creative, expensive ways that feel almost intentional, until owning it becomes a subscription you're not allowed to cancel. A check engine light on an Audi is just the car politely asking for money. A direct injection intake valve cakes with carbon because no fuel ever washes across it, and the only real fix is blasting it clean with crushed walnut shells, a job half the techs in the state don't know exists. You learn to live inside the manufacturer's own service bulletins, the TSBs, the quiet documents where the factory admits which parts fail and how. The ones most customers never learn are real. A diesel bro rolls in who deleted his own emissions to save money off a YouTube tutorial and is now in your lobby because the truck threw itself into limp mode doing 70 on the interstate. Behind him is a Duramax 2 dealers already condemned as a blown engine, quoted at $15,000 for a replacement. You read the freeze frame, run a forced regeneration, and find a clogged EGR cooler choking the whole system, a 2-day job for a fraction of that quote. Word like that travels fast in a small trade, and by the next month 2 more of that dealer's condemned trucks are parked in your lot waiting on you. That habit of reading the record is about to detonate. You start noticing a pattern in the warranty claims flowing through the shop. Repairs billed to the manufacturer that were never done. Parts charged to cars that never had the fault. Flag hours claimed for work nobody performed. It's warranty fraud. The manufacturer reimburses the shop keeps the difference, and someone at the top is inventing repairs to pocket it. You pull the records the way you once pulled fuses, one at a time, in the dark, until the draw shows itself. The draw has a name. Marcus's uncle. The man who owns the shop that raised him. You take it to the manufacturer's regional rep, not the owner, because the owner is the leak. The audit lands like a dropped transmission. The shop keeps its franchise by a thread, only because you documented the fraud instead of quietly joining it. Marcus's uncle steps down for health reasons. Everyone knows the real reason. Nobody says it. Through a service writer who owes you nothing, a message reaches you from Marcus. The laundry kid should remember he still has to eat in this town. You remember. You still have the screwdriver black handle in the top tray. You've eaten worse than his threats. You ate them at 19 out of a barrel of used oil. Level 8. Shop owner. You buy a failing 3-bay shop with a loan that keeps you up at night and the savings of a man who never got handed the gravy. Your name goes up over the door. So does the debt. Now you learn the math from the other side of the counter, and it's uglier than you knew. Flat rate looked brutal to a tech. It's worse for an owner. You carry the tool debt of a whole crew. A master tech's rolling box runs past $50,000. A second mortgage on wheels, most of it financed off the Snap-on truck, which rolls up every Friday like a very cheerful loan shark at an interest rate that would embarrass a casino. Somewhere in that box you will buy 9 10mm sockets this year and own exactly 0 of them by December, a disappearance physics has never once explained. You carry the comebacks. You carry the cars that sit 3 days because a back-ordered part is stuck at a Rock Auto warehouse 2 states away while the customer calls twice a day. And you carry the one nobody warns you about. The customer who will happily pay $1,100 to replace a part but treats a $100 diagnostic fee like a mugging, as if you were supposed to know which of the car's 10,000 parts is broken by smelling it. Sometimes you actually can, which only makes them angrier. So you do the only thing you've ever done. You listen. You take the cars 3 other shops gave up on, the intermittent stalls, the ghosts in the wiring, the ones the dealerships handed back. You fix the unfixable one car at a time, and word travels the way it always travels in this trade. Driveway to driveway, one saved engine at a time. Your bays fill up. You hire fast hands and teach them everything. The loaded diagnosis, the smells, the screwdriver to the ear, and you pay them better than any dog job ever paid you. The comebacks still find you, because they find every shop that opens its doors. You run them differently. You eat the cost, you find what your crew missed, and you tell the customer the plain truth. Half of them come back for that alone. The customers who stay 20 years are the ones who watched how you handled the car you got wrong, so you handle those in person, every time. Marcus makes his last real move. He takes a service manager post at the big dealership across the highway, the enemy, and he chooses it because you became the one thing his uncle's name could never buy him. A mechanic other mechanics trust with the car they couldn't fix. He could outspend you 10 times over. What he could never do was hear the car, and he knows it now, and it eats at him. The two of you cross at the parts counter you both use. His eyes meet yours over a box of brake rotors. The same face that laughed when your screwdriver hit the oil barrel. He looks away first. 20 years, and it's the first time he's ever looked away first. He looked away because he's running out of places to stand, and men who run out of places either start over from the bottom or burn the whole thing down. You already know which one Marcus is. Level 9. Master Diagnostician. The trade changes under everyone's feet, and you change with it. The cars go electric, which is where nearly every mechanic working today gets left behind. Under the floor of a modern EV runs a battery pack pushing 400. Even 800 volts through cables the color of a warning label, enough current to stop a heart through one careless hand. The orange cables can turn a distracted man into the cautionary story the other techs tell new hires for years. So you de-energize the pack, you test with rated gloves, and you treat every orange line like it is already trying to kill you, because it is. Most techs won't go near it. You certify for high voltage the way you certified for everything else, at night, paying your own way, because this trade never rewarded the fastest hands for very long. It rewarded whoever kept learning the sound of the next thing. Now the calls come to you. 3 dealerships in the state, the ones with their own master techs and their own factory tools, phone your shop when a car defeats their whole team. The man once paid in bleach-smelling cash to hear a dryer die is now the last call before a car gets written off as unfixable. You send a diagnosis back in an hour that their people missed for a week, and you charge hard for it. They pay without arguing because a shop that can hand back the right answer in an hour names its own price for it, and every service manager in the state knows yours can. The car that seals your name is an EV3 dealers wrote off for a high-voltage isolation warning with no obvious cause. Their techs swapped the entire battery pack under warranty, and the warning came right back the next week. You drop the pack, test the insulation resistance section by section, and find it was never the battery. A cable pinched bare against a chassis bracket, leaking voltage to the body a few times a day when the car flexed over a bump. A worn spot the size of a fingernail. They replaced a $40,000 pack to avoid hunting a chafed wire. Because looking is hard and the warranty pays the same whether they find the wire or throw a battery at the car. That math is the entire dealership. It is the same mistake as the glove box light, 30 years and 800 volts later, hiding in a much bigger car. Marcus arrives on a Tuesday, not as an enemy, as a man with nothing left to be an enemy with. The dealership he ran got buried under a recall it tried to hide and a diagnostic scandal it couldn't outspin. Comebacks stacking to the ceiling until the manufacturer pulled the franchise and locked the doors. He has no shop, no uncle left to call, no crew that will put its name anywhere near his. He's wearing the same brand of polo he wore the morning he knocked your screwdriver into a barrel of used oil almost 30 years ago. He doesn't mention it. You both remember it anyway. You reach into the top tray of your box and take out the screwdriver. The black tar line is still worn into the handle. The oil from that barrel soaks so deep it became part of the tool a long time ago. You set it on the desk in front of him, tip pointed at his hand. There's a car in Bay 2 nobody here can crack. Go listen. He looks at the screwdriver. He looks at you. He picks it up because he's out of options, and out of options doesn't have a pride budget. His words, said your way, 30 years late. Some debts settle themselves if you live long enough to collect. Later that week, a kid comes through the door looking for work, 17. Got fired from a warehouse for taking apart a broken forklift he wasn't allowed to touch and fixing it before anyone caught him. He stands in your office the way you once stood in a bay full of laughter, shoulders squared against a room he already expects to lose. You hand him a rag and point at the oil change bay. Drain oil, rotate tires, don't talk, don't guess. The same words that tasted like an insult when they were aimed at you. In your mouth, they taste like a door held open. You watch him through the office glass. First slow shift, and he's already got a long screwdriver pressed to a valve cover, ear against the handle, chasing a tick nobody else can hear. He doesn't know yet that the tick is the whole trade, that the tool teaches you to listen, and the listening is the one thing they will never build a machine to replace. He just knows something ticked, and he had to find it. Somewhere behind him in Bay 2, Marcus is bent over an engine, ear to a handle, learning at 58 the thing you learned at 19. And somewhere on the workbench, a phone is already lighting up with a car nobody else can save. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and tell us where you're watching from. Subscribe for more.